Welcome back to Spot on Jaguars, brought to you by Teal Reign and King's Barbecue. I'm your host with the most, Jeff, and I got my sidekick, Ben. Co-host, Ben. Co-host.
Co-host, producer, director, influencer.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna dive into this show. We got a lot to talk about, but we're gonna keep it brief. We're gonna talk about the absolutely devastating performance of a game in Tampa, which I don't think anybody enjoyed. We were going to get into Trevor Lawrence injury and see how it's going to affect this must-win upcoming game against Carolina, which is truly kind of a rival because we came in together in the league. And but we do have one highlight, and we're gonna give a little shout out. And who is it?
Freddie T.
Freddie T. Florida Gator, by the way, is a finalist for Hall of Fame. Well deserved. So we're gonna, talk about that just a little bit. And Eric, anyways, thank you for joining us tonight. Let's get right into it. Straighten my hair out. Let's get fix your hair.
Thank you.
All right, let's get right into it. What are we gonna get into first? So we're gonna do good news, bad news, or we're gonna do like bad news, good news, bad news, bad news. How do you want to do this?
Let's go good news. I think we got a lot of bad news, so let's just start off on the right foot. Let's go good news.
All right, the good news is. What is the good news?
Freddie T.
Oh yeah, Freddie T. Freddie T, our boy, who is a Florida Gator, an amazing has the longest run in playoff history.
Wow.
And I was at that game. I don't mean to brag, but I was there.
It's because of you.
It is because of me. And I sat behind Dan Marino, which was awesome, because that was his last game. We actually retired him. So tell me a little bit about, because Ben knows a lot more about the Jaguar stuff than I do, because he's an expert.
Jaguar nerd. I am an expert.
Him and Jeff Lagerman.
That's been established.
They share things together. You know what I mean?
It's a little inside the business, inside joke somewhere in there, I think. But I got his jersey. On.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Anyway.
I wonder if he has anything of yours.
Only in my dreams.
There you go.
We'll discuss that more at a later time, I think. It's kind of a funny story. But yeah, man, Freddie T. He's... To me, in my mind, I've always said Tony Boselli is Mr. Jaguar, right? Like he was our first pick, first Hall of Famer, everything. My favorite player is Freddie T.
Yeah.
When he got drafted, I remember seeing it. I had to work that morning, and I remember like getting home, and there wasn't kids back in the day. We didn't have our phones where you could just look it up. And I remember getting home real quick and looking at the ticker, waiting to see who it was the Jaguars pick, because I just missed the first pick, and seeing Fred Taylor, and I was stoked. I was so excited. And he was my favorite player, and he's so if Boselli is one, he's 1B. And if people think that Fred is the best Jaguar of all time, you're not really going to hear an argument from me, right? That's my guy. But he's just deserved, man. I mean, he got hurt playing in Jacksonville, and we've talked about it even on this show before. And if he played in New York, he would have multiple Pro Bowls, which he didn't have, as it was here. And then there was some other stuff, it seemed like every year another running back would flare up and have like this crazy year, and then Fred would miss out. And but I think that if he was in a bigger market, another team, he would have been elevated in the popularity and the national, acknowledgement of him. It would happen more. But
I agree with you 100%.
But he's got, I think he's like 17th, I think, on the all-time rushing record or all-time rushing list, and that's probably not going to change, if at all.
Especially in today's football.
Right, because it's pass heavy, and so the emphasis is on passing and not running, and so that his numbers are going to hold up over time.
Yeah.
And then when you look at all the guys in front of him that are in the Hall of Fame or going to be in the Hall of Fame, he needs to get in, and I think most people say that they think he'll get in, but it's just a matter of when. But I mean, I just think
he's one of the best running backs ever.
Yeah,
I mean, let's ignore which everybody's like, oh, how many Pro Bowls or how many Super Bowl rings? Like, let's look at the numbers as yardage or run per average, and look at the runs he had, like the moves he made and how dynamic he was, and the breakaway speed, and also can just run you over. Like, this dude was legit. He was legit.
He could run you over. He could run past you.
Yeah.
He could shake you out of your shoes. That was his nickname too back in college. I remember, and a lot of people don't even remember that, but they used to call him Shake Taylor, because I mean he was crazy. He was just that combination of size, speed, the athleticism, the moves, and he does have numbers. To me, it's not all numbers, and yeah, he had injury issues at times, but
especially when he pulled that groin that year.
That was gnarly. But he has like I think it's 7,000 yard seasons. I don't remember what it is. It's like 4.6 the yards per carry. But it's, to me, what it is it's the eye test. When you watch him, I mean, he popped, on the field. I mean, the things that he did, the way that he made fast guys look slow.
Like they were running in quicksand.
Right. And just some of he was incredible. And so his peers, his contemporaries, the guys that played against him and had to tackle him and stuff, listen to what they say. And Fred even said, he was like, something about the guys that he murked every Sunday or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, these guys, speak glowingly about him. I remember Jim Brown said at the time, he was like, my favorite running back to watch is Fred Taylor. I mean, Jim Brown was arguably the best running back ever. He was considered maybe the best player ever for a lot of years. So yeah, I mean, Freddie, I really hope he gets in. And to see, he's older than me, and so it's not like I watched this kid grow up or anything, but from the outside looking in, to watch him in college and then to watch him, I'm saying this from a respect and an admiration standpoint, to see someone grow up and excel and mature and everything that he went through for career and after career.
Yeah.
The way that I love that he stayed involved with talking with the Jags and in the games at halftime and everything he's doing with Pivot. I mean, it's awesome. The Pivot podcast is awesome. And so he's just a class act. I got to meet him, his whole playing career. I never got to, I go out to all the training camps, as and everything. And, I don't harass the players or whatever, but if they walk by and I get to, I ask them, hey, let me get a picture or whatever. For whatever reason, I never got a picture with Fred. And when we played the Bills in the playoff game in 2017, I was walking to another friend's tailgate. I had to drop something off over there before I went into the game. And I was going back to meet with my people. And just right in front of me, walking in, and it's Freddie T and another big guy who I didn't recognize right at first.
Probably me.
No, he's big. He's tall and strong, but he walks by and I was like, Fred. I was like, hey man, I said, I know you're going in the game. I said, can I get a picture with you? I said, you were my favorite player. I'm not trying to bother you. And he was like, yeah, man, for sure. And we walked behind a little, I think it was like an ESPN bus or something right out in front of the stadium. And everybody was just walking by, nobody noticed them or anything like that, at least when I was there. So at the last second, I look over and I recognize the other guy. He had shades on. I recognize people. If you have glasses on, you just look like a different person to me. But he had shades on and it hit me. It was Big Baby. Marcus Stroud. So I was like, hey, man, come on, get over here. And he was like, all right. So he came in the picture. I got a real cool picture. I think I posted it before. But it was me and Fred Taylor and Marcus Stroud. And I was like a little kid. I mean, I'm a big kid when it comes to this stuff. You know what I mean? I don't get starstruck. I don't freak out. But I enjoy interacting with these guys that we all love and I appreciate and everything like that. So that was real cool. And anyway, so Fred, well deserved. We're rooting for you. And
well deserved. I mean, he should get it. He deserves it. And what my childhood thing, and I'll keep it brief. I won't tell you a story that makes you want to get up and stretch.
No, it's a podcast.
In the middle of it.
It's about stories.
So, I got into football when Emmitt Smith was playing for the Gators, and he got drafted by Dallas, so I automatically became a Dallas fan.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I switched sides when we got the Jaguars, and then
Home team.
yeah, obviously, and then I loved Fred. I loved him as a Gator, and when we drafted him, it was like I'm the most excited man right now, and that's going from Emmitt Smith for Dallas as a fan to get in the Jaguars, and then you draft your other favorite running back. I love the guy. I've always loved him. I root for him, and he really deserves this, and I'm excited for him. So shout out to Freddie T. I just want him to be the second Jaguar because he, like you said, everybody talked about. I think the face of the franchise to me is 100% Fred Taylor.
Okay.
Fred Taylor, because he was the most dynamic offensive player. We drafted him like he played 99% of his his NFL career with us, and he was just a huge part of the success. That championship, that divisional championship playoff game against Miami, and what he did to that team. Oh, baby Jesus! And the longest run in playoff history. Shout out to Freddie Teal now.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny. See, what I love and what I'm hopeful will help this is his exposure, nationally. I feel like in some ways he's a bigger name now almost than he was when he played because of the pivot and some of the way he's gotten out there and kind of marketed himself. But when he made his Pro Bowl here, that was one of my favorite moments. I was so excited, and I don't know if this ended up being true or not, but that year I'd gotten a second job for the holidays. I was working overnight at Toys R Us, doing the stocking, stocks and
rest
stuff
in peace,
like that.
Toys R Us.
Yeah, rest in peace. R.I.P. Jeffrey. But somebody came up to me and Fred was in here with his family and they bought a bike for their kid, and I was like, no way. And they said, well, they said they had to order it, and so anyway, when it came in. Again, I don't know if
you rode the bike, didn't you?
I didn't write. I wrote on the bike. I wrote on the box that it came in, and I said I put congrats on the Pro Bowl, Fred. Go Jags or something like that. So I don't know.
Teal Rising?
There wasn't Teal Rising at the time. I know
because he probably knows who Teal Rising is.
It was in his infancy. Yeah, so I don't know if it actually went to him, or I don't know if he was pissed that there was writing on this box that was supposed to be from Santa. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Fred. We're rooting for you, man, because I know you watch the show, so I'm talking to you directly.
Yeah, I'll text you later.
Okay.
All right, anyways, we're going to move on and talk about something we don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about because we have to talk about, but I don't want to talk about it. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, on second thought, let's talk more about Fred. Let's talk about Fred some more.
Yeah, because I got a good feeling talking about it.
Let's go game by game talking about what he did, yeah. So, yeah.
In 1996. No, anyways. All right, let's get into this Tampa game. I don't even want to talk, but tell me your thoughts because I know you have thoughts. You're breathing heavy over there, So just what?
Let it out.
Where did we go wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, let me narrow it down. Let's go offense. We did defense last time when me and you discussed. What is going on with our offense? What's the problem?
So, where do I start?
I'm gonna pop some popcorn real quick because we're about to have a snack.
Yeah.
Because there's so much.
For starters, the thing that I said could derail the offense from day one, and that's the offensive line. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's injuries, but it really hasn't been good all year. Mm-hmm. But the offensive line, Trevor did not play well. And, to his credit, he's been tough, and he's been trying to battle through injuries and everything. And I want to believe, and I really do believe that has played into some of this, because if you go back and look, versus Houston, he was awesome. He had that.
Well, when Cam came back, that whole streak we had.
Right, but I'm saying but Trevor wasn't always. It seemed like in that Houston game, okay, boom, it's going to start clicking and everything, and then even in Cincinnati, he played well versus Cincinnati. It was a defense couldn't stop anybody. Yep. Then he got hurt. And then it was just finally the accumulation of injuries and everything. I feel like it's kind of taken its toll. I saw tonight actually UCF Jaguar on he had posted saying that he thinks that Trevor being hurt. Part of the reason that the offense has struggled is because they don't get the reps in practice because he hasn't been practicing. I think that does play into it. I think.
But are we making excuses?
Well, I mean, it can be reasons,
to make, as a fan base, we will give an excuse to make ourselves feel better of why
we like a guy or a guy. Yeah.
Or why we can justify something. But let's
why we suck.
Look at it as a 30,000-foot view of reality.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that I think this is real. This isn't making excuses. I think that them not getting reps because of Trevor not practicing has an effect. I think it did have an effect. Personally, though, I don't think the offense all year long, except for spurts, has looked good. And that offensive line, and there's some other things. But I texted, it was you or Khalil or it was somebody at the start of the game, like very beginning of the game. And I said, we have one starting wide receiver in, and Trevor's playing banged up.
That's me.
And we can't run the ball. It's not going to be pretty. I mean, you could just.
Now, I'm interrupting you there. Yeah. Now, would you say it's more the running game or lack thereof compared to what Trevor has? I know he's fumbling interceptions, but our running game has, if you look at it, has been here.
I think 100%. It's not the only reason, but it's huge because a defense, if you don't have to worry about stopping the run or you don't have to, focus too much or too many assets, too many players and, your coverages and all that to stop the run, you can focus more on stopping. You can just do the bare minimum, stop the run, and you have extra bodies to help stop the pass, right? And so I think 100% that one of the biggest issues is the running game, which I don't blame ETN. It's the offensive line. We can't block.
But
so
do you feel like the coaches have kind of abandoned the run a little bit because
I think
we've always averaged anywhere 2.8 to 3.7 yards per carry, but we had 18 to 20 carries compared to like last week we had 6.
I mean, the game got out of hand, and that's it's always whenever other team starts to get a lead, you gotta kind of have to abandon the run, because you're just passing the ball so much trying to save time. But it has felt like we've gone away from it in other games too sooner
not just
than
the 10. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, the coaches have a better view than we do, and whether they would say it or not, I mean, I feel like they see that there are no holes. I mean, ETN gets the ball, and he's got somebody right there.
And I do see the difference between week 5, 6, 7 compared to now, to where he has no holes.
No,
like this Tampa game was literally. I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna bounce back. We'll do this. And it was way the opposite.
Yeah,
we digressed so bad.
And that's the thing. It's like we're sitting here talking about all the things. There's so many things, and honestly, you're kind of like scratching your head too to some degree because you can point to the offensive line, and I don't think they've been great all year. But injuries have made it even worse, and they've had so many different lineups. Offensive line is one of those, position groups where you need chemistry, you need continuity to get rolling really. But we have the offensive line not blocking. We have injuries for me, like blaming injuries is kind of like blaming the refs. I try to stay away from it. It can have an effect and does have an effect. But you see the Browns who just clinched, they got injuries all over the place. Yeah. So they
have injuries that are not like their injuries like, okay, Deshaun Watson's out. Okay.
Who?
Deshaun Watson.
Oh, okay. You said it weird.
I said Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
I put like a French slang on that one.
You
got Chubb who's out.
Yeah.
You got a couple receivers that are out.
Those are studs.
Studs.
Right.
Ours is like offensive line. What'd you say one time? We switched at a guard like 5 different guards.
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, but
there
have been guys playing different positions and third,
but they have Joe
fourth.
Flacco coming in, and Joe Flacco, he's 97 years old. but he's experienced compared to a 3-year quarterback who is trying to trying to force stuff, trying to make things happen, which actually turns into the worst. And that's lessons, because I'm sure Flacco did that in year 3. You know what I mean? And I get what Trevor's trying to do, but it's like, and that only comes with experience of going, instead of when you're getting sacked and you're trying to make something happen to where you fumble, all right, let me just take this down.
One of the sacks, even my daughter was watching when the game was on, and one of the sacks, they basically came right in, and he just held the ball and dropped, and she was like, get rid of it. I was like, no. I was like, I actually like seeing that, because a lot of times he'll try to do something with that, and that's when the fumble happens or whatever. But and it is. I think that Trevor tries to do too much sometimes. I feel like he's trying to be Superman, carry the team. But again, the receiving core. We had one starting receiver. So what do you typically do? And then we'll talk about it more, but going into this next game, when you have a backup quarterback in, what do you try to lean on? The running game normally. And we can't. We cannot. We can't. So, all this talk that we've talked about and all this they're due and, what it feels like and this and that, we don't have the guys, and then that's a bigger story. Maybe we'll save it for the offseason, but why don't we have the guys? Are we back to hating Balky again? Which I think that's kind of unfair, because people were saying, how,
we're just in a funk.
We are in a funk. It's a funk. I feel like they've lost some confidence, and something needs to happen, which, look, I really think Trevor does. I'm glad, they announced tonight when we're filming, we're getting a late start on the week, but they announced that, Beathard was going to be the starter, that Trevor was out.
Trevor needs some rest.
And I really feel like that's the best thing. I want Trevor, and it sucks because we have to win this game coming up. But Trevor needs to get some rest. Hopefully 1 week is enough, you know what I mean, for a throwing shoulder. But, Beathard comes in, and maybe
he had a decent game.
Right. He's a capable backup, and that's what. But I do feel like, we're looking for a spark. Can you get a spark from, a backup quarterback? I mean, you can, but maybe the team can rally around it. Maybe that's something that makes it click in their brain to be able to elevate and focus and catch balls and,
Or just being so humbled by a 4-game losing streak when you were 5 weeks ago could have a spot of having the number 1 seed.
Yeah, but
what I mean?
You know what the thing about that is? I thought that they should have had that when they had a 3-game losing streak. And what the scariest part, as far as how this season plays out, these next couple games, was they looked lethargic and lackadaisical. Like they didn't come out. I would say the
last 2 games.
But going like we're playing Tampa, and we're going.
They just wanted it more.
They did, but why is that? Why are teams wanting it more than us? And I know, like that's a fan thing to say. I know these guys are going out there and they're practicing and they're playing hard, and the stuff that they do in football games, to their bodies and everything is crazy. And they're not going in saying, you know what, I don't care, I'm going to be lethargic. But whatever that fire is that some teams have had, and we don't look like we're not punching somebody in the mouth. We're not going out there like last year. Last year when we got on that run, we were hyped on the sidelines. We were
punching people in the mouth, hitting people hard.
The only time we look ready now is in the tunnel coming out. Like when they're coming out of the tunnel, I'm like, "Ooh, maybe they're going to show up today." And then the game happens. And that's that again. This game, you can say, okay, we lost to the Browns, right? And that was its own thing. But whatever, they didn't. It was a close game, right? We could have pulled it out. Stupid mistakes, couple stupid mistakes, a different story. And then we lost to Cincinnati.
In the game, should have won.
Right, in the game, should have won it. Another, whatever. I mean, you can go through all these recent losses. But the one that was disturbing to me was Tampa, because they looked
so pedestrian.
They came out slow and I know we're sticking to offense right now, but on defense too. I mean, missing tackles.
I get the missing tackles, but our defense rides on our offense. We've talked about this defense being a bend don't break defense forever. Bend don't break, bend don't break. And that depends on our offense, on what our offense can do. And if our offense is on the field and they're producing either from a field goal, which we'll get to Brian McManus in a little bit, but if they're producing and we're scoring, and our defense is, slightly on the field, we pressure, we don't let them run, we force mistakes. That's how our defense is built. But now, our offense, 3 and out, 4 and out, 6 out, turnover, this, to where we're like trying to depend on the defense. And that's not the way this defense is built. And then on that fact, earlier in the year and even last year when our offense wasn't doing, our defense was so jacked to get out there. Mm-hmm. Now it's just like, man.
Here we go again.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss this tackle. I'm gonna miss that tackle. I mean, they're getting the sacks, but because they had 2 sacks last game, surprisingly. But like in the beginning of the year, we were leading the league in takeaways. Now we don't even know what a takeaway is.
Right, and the defense, they haven't been great in this recent stretch. They've had moments, but right out of the gate, Baker Mayfield just goes right down. Seemed like he was doing whatever he wanted, and there was that bogus. What was it? They called the roughing the passer or whatever that gave him that first down. That was terrible, and that allowed them to continue the drive. But for the most part, they just marched right down, and we were never in the game. Mm-hmm. It was like, and that's, to me, it's inexcusable.
It was 20-0 at halftime. Right.
We did 0 on offense. And you can look at, again, things that, injuries play a part in that. And you can look at, we can't run the ball. Offensive line's not protecting, turning the ball over. Trevor not playing well, regardless of injury or whatever. It's a bottom line business, and he didn't play well. And but where's the and by the way, I'm always reluctant and slow to fire this guy and do that guy, right? All year long, people have been complaining about Press Taylor. The offense looks unimaginative. It looks boring. It's vanilla, and some of that's injuries, But number one,
but coaches can't go out there and play.
They can't go out there and play, but it looks predictable. The end around to Ridley, can we please just shoot that into the outer space, man?
Can we take that play, that page, crumble it up, put it in your back pocket, in your jeans, throw it in the washer, wash it on hot?
No,
get rid of that.
Just disintegrate.
Please?
Drop a bomb on that thing.
I don't want
because I feel like, if memory serves, I think it was successful like once early in the season, and then the rest of the time we might get a couple yards on it, and then the rest of the time it's been for a loss. So get rid of that play. So the other thing is Elijah Cooks. We finally get a Elijah Cooks sighting. He comes in there, gets 3 catches, and I'm like, okay, all right, somebody said, and then that's it.
Guess what?
That's it.
We ain't gonna throw to you no
more. Yeah, good job.
Your quota.
Get back to the bench. We threw it to ETN, and it looked. I remember he caught that one pass, and it looked like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to see more of that. And then no. So look, I know I'm an armchair quarterback, and watching from my ignorant fan perspective, but I've watched a lot of football, and you see certain things, and there's certain feels to it. And to me, the offense is just it's in fairness, although I don't like to use this as a crutch. Like I said with the text, we have one starting receiver who, by the way, has had a lot of criticism from people for various reasons.
Which he actually had a really good game
in the second half.
Yeah, but it's instead of 6 catches and 17 targets, it was 6 and 9.
Yeah, he had some catches, but I just feel like there's some things that you can point to, and then there's some things that you're just scratching your head about. And one of the big ones for me is just the lethargy, like and let's just talk a little bit more about defense now. But that's where I feel like offensive line doesn't play defense. I know we've been banged up. Tyson Campbell did not look good and got basically benched. Peterson basically said as much that he got benched.
Which actually, when you bring up Peterson, I think he's actually taking a play call in this game.
Did they say that?
Yeah, I think he said that.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, again, I'm not.
And it's the giveaways. And I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, which I know you guys will, but I think we are close to either 10 to 12 in the last 3 games of giveaways.
Yeah.
We had 3 last game, had 4 the game before.
Yeah, turnover. You got to protect the ball.
We are giving the ball away.
But see, we
were like Oprah Winfrey. You get a ball. You get a ball. You get a ball. It is ridiculous.
We were fortunate that even in our winning stretches, when we were winning games, we turned the ball right. We would counteract it or whatever. But
we made it. We were balanced.
Yep.
Balanced. And now that's not. We have digressed so much.
Yep.
But and we talk about this when teams are due. Okay, because it's just the way the balance is. When a team is great and they go through a slump, they go back up. It's rare to see a team completely nosedive into the rubble of just never coming back to life. Like, there's a up balance. And these next 2 games, this has to be the up. Because you lose this game.
Well, I mean, if we want to do anything, what we want to do, if we won the division, go to the playoffs, they have to. But but when a team does nosedive, a lot of times injuries do play into that. And I mean, look at Tennessee last year. They're perfect example. Their quarterback got hurt. They had a ton of injuries, and they just lost out the rest of the year. So you do have to have Jimmys and Joes to make it happen. And I know that not X's and O's, Jimmys and Joes, but like. It's the thing that's disconcerting is the lack of confidence I think that they have, urgency. and they the sense of urgency doesn't seem like it's there, and it's just made worse by all the injuries. So offensively, I don't like how the play calling, the flow, and I'm sure that's just like a lot of other things that's impacted by the injuries. And then Trevor not playing well, Trevor being injured, all the receivers that are hurt, the offensive line not running the ball, which has been one of the biggest issues for our struggles.
And we've been handed gifts, honestly, with the injuries to the Bengals quarterback, Browns quarterback.
Oh, yeah, it looked like it's set up beautifully.
Like, oh, wow, okay.
Right.
Well, this might be kind of good.
Right.
And we're like, all right, great. No, we made them look like Manning and Brady. It's ridiculous. And it's just like, and that's the most disheartening thing. Like the Tampa game, okay, so I didn't expect the score to be that bad, but if we lose to Tampa in a good game, I get it because Tampa's that team that is, you don't know what Tampa you're going to get because they've been up and down all year. Browns, with the injuries they've had, are you kidding me?
Well, I thought that the Browns would be a tough game because of their defense, and we were playing up there. So I thought it would be a tough game, but I thought we should win. And I thought that Baltimore would be a tough game, but I thought, we could, we
kind of what? I mean, it was what, 23-7?
Yeah. I mean, it ended up,
there.
Opening up a little bit at the end of the game, but that was a game that wouldn't have surprised me if they lost. The Browns, I envisioned that could have been a loss, even though I thought that they could pull it out. Cincinnati losing Burrow, that was one that we should have won. Prime time, and
if Trevor didn't go down.
Yeah, but even before that, it shouldn't have come to that because the defense just was completely non-existent that game. So you go through all these games, and it's just like we've had opportunities. The one of the most hurtful ones, though, to me, was the Tampa game, because I don't think. Well, hell, I don't know.
Nothing at halftime.
Yeah, but and I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. To come out and just be that flat and ineffective on offense and defense.
When you're on a 3-game skid.
Right. You should come out and knowing.
And you only have one loss away on the season.
And not that they're scoreboard watching, but going into that game knowing that Indy and Houston both lost, you had everything right there. You had it, and you have to know that. And then to come out flat, and I know injuries are part of it, but you got to suck it up, and you got to make it happen.
Did they not know during our pick'em challenge, you picked them to lose for the first time just
Right.
to switch up.
I thought maybe that
the
would fire them
momentum.
up.
You sacrificed,
Yeah, I did.
and they didn't. And
They didn't
show
respond.
up. They didn't
Well, so I guess I don't know, man. We'll sum it up. I mean,
And that's. I guess we kind of did defense, offense right there. But the defense, I mean, we know what we need to do. We just have our offense has to do better to make the defense.
when
better.
there's been times where certain guys have looked lost or out of position on defense, but what's frustrating is when we are there to make a play and we whiff on the tackles. And I mean, it was double-digit missed tackles last game, and that's been kind of a trend. I mean, we've had multiple games in this skid where we're not tackling, and so it's like bigger picture. Again,
We're not as aggressive on defense that I've seen. Like you remember who was it that we played? Oh, I can't think of it. Actually, it was KC game or another one that we had to where our defense was just making the quarterback just scramble and run. We didn't have a lot of sacks, but it was just like we had him lost, and it's not there. The one highlight on defense is Trayvon has probably got, I think, sacks in the last 2 or 3 games.
yeah.
He's
I
getting
think he
into
has
that
like 7 or
niche.
8 now.
He's getting into
No,
that niche.
he's improving, and he's been a good
That's
player.
the one highlight on defense.
Yeah, but I mean, we need more than that, and that just
I'm
goes.
just trying to be positive.
I know, but there's nothing to be positive
just
about right
trying
now,
to-
man. No, I
I
can't.
don't want to go to bed crying tonight.
What?
I don't want to go to bed crying tonight.
I have every night since.
Do you wear
Christmas.
that jersey when you're in bed? Because I bet you he woke up crying.
But no, it's been very upsetting, and for me, it's more about the things. The upsetting part is more about the things that are unexpected or I can't explain. And there are things that piss me off regardless, like not bolstering the offensive line or doing enough on the offensive line or getting another pass rush. Those things do piss you off. But it's the lack of urgency. It's the lack
The
of
nonchalant team that goes out there and
right.
Well, it's just
Lack
another
of
day on the
focus.
job
It seems like at times
blah.
to be this far into the season and getting mixed up on things and not covering this guy or running the wrong route. Like those type of mental errors that are happening. I really didn't see it happening with this team coming from last year. I felt like. Yeah, I need something.
I'm just getting depressed right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I thought we would have is that dog. I thought that, we would have that, this guy might get hurt or this bad might happen. But I didn't expect them to come out flat and not show up and not have fight
Which
and
we
not
had
be
the dog in the beginning.
We did.
Even though we were
Gritty,
like
not
1 and
pretty.
3.
Gritty, not pretty.
1 and 2.
That was
we were
yeah.
We were dogs.
Yeah,
Like,
now we're
especially
just
on
not
defense,
pretty.
Like,
Yeah.
ooh, and like you said, like the 2 home games that we had, the Bengals game and which other home game?
Baltimore?
Right, the Baltimore game. The entrance, beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
Like beautiful. Like we came out the tunnel like, I'm like, we better take their lunch and their lunch money at the same time and take their mom on a date. Like that's what I thought, but it was like, what are y'all doing?
And
like,
then come
are we just
out
here
and then,
for like, what are we doing?
Run the route this way when it's supposed to go this way or whatever, or have 2 receivers on top of each other, and then on defense, don't wrap up and missing tackles and getting your ankles broken.
And I
and
won't
stuff.
even say it's coaching. I'm not even gonna say it's.
I think coaching definitely has something to do with it.
I don't know. Because I don't see Doug. I don't see Doug allowing that. I think it's the players. I think it's the players. Do we have a defined leader in that locker room? Like every locker room has a leader. Ray Lewis, Brian Dawkins. Like who is our leader?
I think
in that
we have
locker room
leaders
to take that reign. Like Evan Ingram, I've seen him speak up.
Yeah, we
But
have leaders.
Who's the man?
We have leaders, but do we have that guy that is going to – well, honestly, like Arden Key last year. I think Arden Key was one of those guys
I hated losing
that I hated losing him too. I thought we should have kept him. But I feel like he was one of those guys. It's that emotional leader. Like, you
They
got to be able to
guy.
make some plays on the field, right? I mean, nobody is going to listen to a rah-rah guy that's just, giving pep talks. But the guy's got to be able to play a little bit too. But do we have that guy that's like Trevor is a leader. Trevor is a lead by example, but he's not that fiery guy that we see, at least.
No.
He's going to go out there and lead with the fact that he's playing on one leg, or he's
gonna
diving
risk his body,
in a
and
game
after the
where
game,
it's
he's
a blowout
like,
and he's
I'm
diving
here.
for a first down, right?
But he's not that, and I don't want to bring it up because I'm a Gator fan, but like a Tim Tebow-esque, that emotional guy, like a Brian Dawkins.
Right.
Emotional.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Ray
Like
Lewis,
a guy
emotional.
that's fiery. And
Calais Campbell,
Yep.
emotional. Do we have that leader in the locker room?
Yeah, I don't know.
To gather, because a coach can only do so much.
Well, and that's what
I mean?
you said, coaching, and I'm not saying that the coaches aren't doing a good job, or Peterson or whatever. I always am reluctant to do that because we're not behind the scenes. But I thought you kind of expounded for me because you talked about the players, and when I said that coaching can have an impact, is the message not having the same, he
called him out during that press conference.
Yeah, and
know what I mean?
Peterson has
And that's a call out.
as the years gone on, he's been saying some things, and he's gotten more. It started
postgame.
off kind of like
Just a little poke.
like kind of if you read between the lines,
I'm
you're
glad
like,
to see that. I
oh,
see
okay, yeah, and
As that goes
yeah,
along
and
further,
now it's more
all right,
like,
now I'm
hey,
going a little deeper.
yeah,
Now I'm going a
exactly.
little deeper.
And now it's like, yeah, maybe we have some guys that
Coach
aren't
can't go out there
focusing.
and play.
Yeah,
Like he's saying it. So, but who in this team? And that's like we've never talked about it before. But who on this team is that vocal, emotional? Is that what we're missing to get this team out of a funk?
Mm-hmm.
That Calais Campbell, that Jalen Ramsey, that Brian Dawkins. Like I can't look on this roster right now and tell you that guy's the guy. But you know who is that guy? Who needs to be? Josh Allen. He's a leader on defense. He is an emotional player on the field. You see it.
Yeah, he gets hyped.
You see him get hyped. And who's leading the team in sacks? Who has had the best year he has had for this team?
He's got the resume to be that guy, and I mean I do see it, but he's kind of soft spoken.
Yeah, but look at the roster. Who do you see that can come out and go fire this team up?
So I don't know that I see anyone. So this is what the rah-rah stuff, I think it's important to have people with the right mindset and have leadership on a team. That's 100% important. But what I worry more about is who's going to go out on that field and say, was it T.O. was like on the sideline that one time, he's like, who can make a play? I can, right? Who's the guy that's going to go out there and will himself to make a play? Because look, you got Trevor, who's hurt and not playing this week, and
who is soft-spoken.
Well, it's also, but I'm not talking about just the voice. I'm talking about actually going out on the field and making plays. I'm changing it up just a little bit. Like I agree that we need that guy in the locker room or guys, to get out there and fire people up, to be, I don't know if extension of the coach is the right way to say it, but to be that guy that when he talks, everybody stiffens up and listens and does, that's all important. But on the field, who's the guy that, because who are our most talented players? Okay. Josh Allen, like
Yep,
he
Josh
would,
Allen.
that's why he would be a candidate, because he's a guy that we saw, what game was it? Where he basically it was Houston.
Took over the
Houston.
entire game.
But at the end of the game, it was like, he just said, I have to go get a sack right now and push him out of field goal range. You know what I mean? And he that type of play from a great player, that it's just like, and so Trevor has had moments of that, and him also in that Houston game and in the Cincinnati game, as far as them putting up numbers and doing whatever. Well, now he's out. ETN is a stud, but he plays a position. Well, quarterback is the same thing, but he has to have people be able to block for him. There has to be a threat. So I don't know that you can have ETN listed as that guy.
Nope.
I feel like it has to be a receiver. Is it going to be Ridley?
Well, it's not
is he
gonna be Ridley.
Well,
Ain't gonna be
is
Ridley.
it? A guy that I trust to make a big play is Kirk, and he's out. You know what I mean? Because Kirk is, like I said,
Yeah, but Kurt's a soft-spoken guy.
no, but I'm not talking about that. I'm like I said, I'm kind
I
of
know,
changing
to
it
make
up
a
a
big
little
play,
bit.
to make a big
we
play,
need
to
that
make something
guy,
happen.
right? And so, yes, I'm saying that all that stuff in the locker room, all the rah-rah stuff, and getting people in the right mindset and all that stuff is important. And I know there's some of that. I don't know if there's enough of it. But the more important thing is, who's that guy that's going to go out there and make a play when we need it, or make plays, have a game that you go out and at the end of the he's the guy they're talking about on the highlights. I mean, we don't have that guy right now on
don't have the
offense.
guy.
On offense. And then on defense,
The only
Josh
guy we have is
Allen.
Josh Allen.
Right, that's going to be. I mean, there's other guys that can get an interception. There's other guys that might get a sack. Not many of them, but other guys that might get a sack. There's other players that can make some plays.
And the only reason if a guy gets an interception is because of either Josh Allen rushing the QB or maybe Trayvon getting in there too.
Yeah, Darius.
That's it.
Darius has played. I mean, we've had guys play. There's guys have made some good plays and have played well. And I'm not dogging anybody, but I guess what I'm looking for, and it's when we need it most, when we're
Who's gonna make that big play?
when we're in the depths right now in the season. We're on this losing streak. We have a must-win game. Our starter, is our starting quarterback is not going to be playing. Who's going to step up and make that play
Do you
or
know
those
who's
plays?
Who's been the voice the last 2 weeks?
Who?
Offensively?
Who?
In the locker room is Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
He has been the biggest voice.
Yeah,
and it showed like last game. I think he had what? I wrote it down: 10 catches, 95 yards. And the game before that, he has been the guy.
No.
and he voices like the last one. He was like, nope. I believe in our postseason. I believe we're going to do good. I believe this. I believe that. But he's saying that on TV. But is he saying to the guy?
Well, play
He's
wise,
gonna make the play.
he has been. He's had a great year, and he's been consistent all year, and he's been one of the guys that showed up every game and everything. Even though when he wasn't scoring touchdowns and all that.
Last
but,
3 or 4 games, he's really shown up.
Yeah, but it's that combination of having somebody to get the team's head right. That's an extension of the coach, or in addition to the coach. But then having a guy that's going to go take a game over is, I guess, what I'm looking for, and we don't have that. And it's a team game, so I'm not saying it's got to go one guy go out and be Jordan, but I'm just saying we need somebody to step up. We need guys to step up.
And I think it's just like after the Bengals game. I think it was just me and you hosting. We didn't know what to really talk about. Like, we're going, what's wrong? Like, we don't even know. Like, I don't like, we're talking about now. We're going, oh my God, well, what is it? Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? What I would love to see, and you don't ever want to see this, but I would love to see this team go players only meeting at this point in time.
It's usually a bad sign,
but it's also a good sign to where they go players only meeting, because we were doing great and we're on a 4-game skid, and then it goes, you know what, guys? Coaches are doing their job. They're calling good plays. Peterson's putting us in the right position, because the Browns-Bengals game, we were there. Mm-hmm. But it was execution, turnovers that fumbled that game.
Blown coverages.
Yeah, fumbled that game.
Yeah. Which
now the last 2 games is confidence. We were in the Ravens game, the best team in the AFC. We were in that game the entire time. Tampa is a downright. I can't even explain it.
Right, and that's the one that's what I was saying.
That's where you go, players only meeting. Like, guys, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. Like, what are we doing? Like, I would have loved to see that, but let's not hate on the Jaguars, because you got KC, who is in a massive struggle, and you got the Eagles in a massive struggle. And I don't care what the Cowboys' records are. I don't care. They're 1-4 or against 500 team, like above 500 team.
Yeah.
Like the real threat is your 49ers, who actually just got slaughtered by a team that we were actually in the game with. Okay? We were in the game with the Browns. The number one defense in the league. Like, we're not absolutely terrible. You take away the Tampa game, we're actually going, okay, well, we're in every game. We're in the games.
Yeah.
We're in the games. The Tampa game was just such a cluster.
And that's why we're just kind of like in despair because, yeah, it sucks to be on a losing streak regardless. But you could look at it and say, man, we were right there, and it was this, it was that. But we were in those games, and it's frustrating when you lose because of missed assignments or blown coverages or a position group not playing well or whatever the case may be. And injuries played into that, right?
Yeah.
But it just seemed.
Young.
Yeah, we are, but it seemed. I agree with you, and that's what all fans, when you take a step back and look, we're not the only team in the NFL that's having its struggles that you would expect something different from them,
so
right?
No Firebalk or anything else. It's
Balk.
like whatever his name is. I don't freaking know his name. But, it's like they'll get mad at him. But I think he's done a good job with what we had come in. We were all excited. Don't tell me we weren't. We were all feeling the feels. You were worried about the PTSD, which you have every right.
No. Hold on a second. We'll talk about this in another show. But I was excited about things, and I saw potential in the draft. But I 100%, and I think we all were disappointed that we didn't get a pass rusher and we didn't do more for the offensive line. Those two things that when you don't have the trenches, everybody looks, even people that know football, we have a tendency to, get excited by the shiny objects at receiver or running back or quarterback. But it's always the guys doing the dirty work that make things go. And so I did see positives, and I did think our offensive line was going to be good. I mean, our offense would be good if the offensive line played well.
When everybody was healthy, we were playing very, very good. And what was the nickname for Calais? What was the nickname?
The mayor?
Mayor.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Well, but here's the thing, though. With Calais, we all loved Calais, and but there was guys in the locker room that did not like him. There were guys that saw him as like the company man, and there were guys and that was where some of that turmoil. That's why 18 was no good. So yeah, he's a guy that you should, if you got the right guys, look up to. So I think that I don't look at this team,
but you put him with this young group,
right? Which is another reason why I wanted him on the team. That's why we wanted him on the team.
That's what I was trying to get to.
I got you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with this young group,
Yep.
Going, hey guys. Because this young group, I feel, doesn't know how to handle either one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because see, like I look at it,
drought.
I look at when his first go round. If there was somebody that didn't listen to Calais from like what we know when we look at things, that they're a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they're the problem. They're the problem, not Calais. Whereas this group, the impression that I get is we have a lot of good guys.
But no one's
right.
there to go into the wing and be like, hey, guys.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why he would have been, and that's what we were both saying. We were like, it's not, you're not just bringing him here to be a coach or anything like that. I mean, you want him to actually go out there and maybe make some plays. But it was more about that, the leadership.
Because Peterson and Press could only do so much.
Yeah.
In this, one, you have all this hype, and you're handling the hype, which they started off 1-2.
I don't think they've handled
and then
hype
they went on that 5-game win streak. It was like, oh, okay, great. And then everybody got injured, and now it's like that pressure's on them from being injured and going, how are we going to overcome this, to going 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss, 4 loss. Like, you have to have that locker room mayor, that locker room general to go stand up and be like, let's go. And we don't have that. And that's where I'm like, that's where I could only think of Josh Allen taking that role, because we do see him on the field. He is a very emotional player. But can he translate that into the locker room.
Yeah,
I mean, because
I've heard him. I've heard it. So Josh Allen, you have seen him be a leader. It does seem like he kind of took Trayvon under his wing, and you see him, doing some stuff.
Because he called out Trayvon like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
He called him out and said, "I feel like he can do more."
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah.
I was in a dark hole of depression, so I've missed some things. But look, I think
I was bringing you Capri Suns and fruit snacks to make them feel better.
So one more thing that I think that we might not have enough of, and it's all relative. I mean, I know that they're all, big tough guys and stuff like that play in the NFL. You can't be in there if you're not. But I don't know that we have enough nasty players. You know what I mean? Like, I want a guy that, I want us to get a penalty,
like a
not for doing something.
Step on your face mask.
That's what I'm saying. Give me a guy, like one guy that is going to get a penalty, not for just doing something stupid, but for doing something that's like, because he's, mean. You know what I mean? Like,
give me a Ray Lewis. I'm your limo driver.
Don't say that.
That's not actually that. He was found not guilty.
Yeah, he was not guilty.
That was a joke.
So, but that again, it's I don't know if we have enough nasty guys. I mean, I just don't know that guy that is going to go out there and throw somebody around. So anyway,
and that's hard for me to say. I agree with that because I feel like we've been nasty in the beginning of the year to where we were just hitting people so hard, and towards the end of the year, like how we hit Henry that one day. And he fumbled towards the end of the year.
That type of a big play. But you know what? At this point, we got to put one foot in front of the other. Before we start worrying about, like, taking some guy's head off, let's just make a tackle. Let's just make a regular tackle where we put our arms around somebody and we put them on the ground. You know what I mean? At first contact.
Let's get into this. What do you think on this game coming up? Give me your outcome and give me your score prediction.
All right.
I knew I just threw that in there.
No, it's cool. All right, well, I'm picking the Panthers. I'm going to pick the Panthers 17, Jags 14.
That's actually a good score.
I knew that was coming.
That is actually
You're always so confident. So I picked 17-14.
Because it makes sense.
Right. So that's my final score prediction, and I'm not picking the Jags for the rest of the year. So regardless of what if we don't tackle, if we don't block and run the ball, if we're not focused catching the ball, receiving the ball, and covering guys and, manning your assignments, you know what I mean? 100% they can beat us, and it's not even like a bit. Like I said, just regardless, I'm not picking the Jags, but they just went toe to toe with Green Bay and put up, it was 33-30.
Yeah.
So they were putting up points, and so I just and they smell blood in the water. I feel like when you have a team that's because we've been there before.
Because there'd be nothing better for a team that's not in the playoffs,
right?
To ruin somebody else. That's their championship. Hang a banner mid-season, Lakers.
but how many times have we been in that situation where it seems like, oh man, we're close, we almost got it, and then you're kind of getting, and then they won. They beat Atlanta, and then they almost beat Green Bay and whatever. So they're going to continue. It could go the other way too, but it just doesn't seem like they are. It seems like they're still fighting. Sometimes when you get a bad team, they start making vacation plans. You know what I mean? And
they're fighting for the emblem on their helmet and their names on their back. And that's all they're doing.
And a job next year and everything. But I mean, some guy, I don't care what anybody says. I've seen it. Some guys mail it in, but they don't seem like they are. And they would want nothing more to come into our house and they'll rally together.
Done this year.
Right. And now they see a backup quarterback that even when Trevor hasn't been playing well at times, he's got the tools and everything that you have to be wary of, right? I mean, they have to. Now you got a guy that's more limited, and it's his first start, and all that. So we got to tackle. We got to be focused. We got to catch the ball. We got to run the ball, or we're getting beat.
We got to go sports. is what we got to do. I mean, just go out there and play. I think it's going to be – I'm going to go 21 – I'm going to go 21-10. And the reason I say 21 is because Brian McManus can't make a field goal. So he's 0-3 last 2 games.
One of my daughters –
Actually, I'm going to take this back. I saw this stat, and I said it to my family on New Year's Christmas Eve, which was funny because on the way to see my mom, I was texting Ben because he lives right next to my mom, and I was like, hey – come over for the game, watch it with me. He goes, all right, halftime. In the first quarter, I was like, don't come over. I'm not in a good mood.
No, I think it went without saying, like, I'm not coming over.
Don't come over. And I saw Brian McManus was 24 of 28 and finished off the last 1 of 6. Mm-hmm. 1 of 6. I don't know what's happened. I don't know if Urban Meyer came down and kicked him while he was on the field. I don't get it, but I hope he gets that straightened out. But I feel like, Bryce Young is second in the league in sacks, been sacked. He's got 53. And we thought Trevor had a lot. Trevor's got like 35 or something like that. That's a lot of sacks. Mm-hmm. So this is our chance. This is the chance for our defense to actually come up, show up, and take that momentum into the next game with Tennessee. This is the one game that you could actually beat. You could sack the quarterback 4, 5, 6 times, get maybe the interception, let CJ do his thing, manage the game, because he is a 1,000% game manager. Mm-hmm. This, to me, is this game rides 100% on the defense and what they can do in ball position, because we're going to do out route, handoff, dink, dunk, barely go down the field to where we score. Mm-hmm. Defense comes back on, shuts them down. This is the one game, and we need this game.
Yeah. So I agree. I think that and I feel like
don't do an out. I want 2 colors on our uniforms.
Oh yeah,
I don't want a black
it's not out. Yeah,
I don't want a white out.
There's no out.
There's no out.
There's no out. There's no out.
Is it teal and white, black and white?
I don't think it's
as long as it's 2 colors.
Yeah.
Because we're done. I'm out with the outs, as Ben said.
Teal and white. Yeah, so I think that, we'll wrap it up, but I think Beathard is capable, and I could totally see when we talk about storylines and stuff like that, you could see the team rally around a backup quarterback, and you could see a guy, Trevor's friend, coming in there and having a good game and everything like that. Sometimes I wish Trevor would make the easy throws and not try to be Superman sometimes, and I feel like Beathard is going to do more of that. He's not going to be trying to do too much. He's not going to try to do too much.
Well, he's what, 10-year vet, 9-year vet?
I don't even remember. But he's a vet, and so he's been there, done that. And so I do see him, playing it safer. And I could see the defense, I'm questioning everything with what's happened because, we think we knew the team, and then they've just done some stuff so many times, and we've gone over it, exhaustively.
Makes me scratch my head.
But to say this, though, it is a must-win game. Because I just feel like it's funny how your expectations and everything changes. But at this point, what I really want is I really want us to win the division. It goes without saying, but if we win the division and we make it to the playoffs, it's like I'd almost be happy at the way it's gone in the second part of the season or this back half of the season. It's not what we wanted at the start of the year. I do think it's important to have to establish that winning culture, and to say we won the division 2 years in a row, and to say we went to the playoffs 2 years in a row, and all the bad stuff that has happened this year with the injuries is something that they can learn from, and hopefully the front office, they can add pieces and whatever, right? So I want that for that reason. But my expectation is, with the way we've played, we don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And we're probably not going to win. And then I just have that little bit in the back of my head where it's kind of like, if we do get the guys healthy, that we're getting Cam back, we're getting.
So now you're going, yeah.
And so it's like, so we get Cam. So if we can just squeak in there, right, and get in the playoffs, right, and get that home. I think right now it projects that we would play the Browns, and I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that because I feel like that playing at our house this time, and the Browns are playing well. They're a great story and everything with Flacco. But I really, but for any of that to happen, we have to win on Sunday, and then we got to win. And because the other thing is, we were looking at, a few weeks ago, we were looking like, oh well, Indy and Houston are going to play each other. But we were saying Indy and Houston are going to play each other, so one of them's going to get knocked out. But now you look at it like one of them's going to get a win, a division win.
And they play one plays L.A., which is Colts, and then the other one plays a terrible team. I
Tennessee.
Can't remember. Oh yeah, terrible
Tennessee.
Team. Terrible
right.
team. Yeah.
I think they're getting Levis back, who I don't think is that good, but he's had some moments.
His girlfriend's hot. I don't know if
you've talked about that. I think they broke up actually. Yeah. So
I'm single.
So anyway, I think if both of them lose and we win the division. I think that's what could happen on Sunday if both of them lose. But
that's true. And if we win, they both lose. We got it locked up.
Right, we're in there. But regardless, I don't know that both of them are going to lose or either one of them. C.J. Stroud's coming back, so we just got it. But with all that said, all the scenarios you want to talk about, if we win, but the next two games in two should be very winnable game. You got statistically the worst team in football, and then you have the Titans, who we've already whooped and are not that good.
Terrible.
Right. So it should happen, but we'll see which version of the Jags we get.
Yeah, we'll see. And, you're right. And it's frustrating to actually have that conversation.
Are you frustrated?
I'm frustrated. And the thing is, and I'm going to put this in closing. I love the season we've had. I mean, to have 8 wins on a second year of Doug is really just, compared to our years before, is just amazing. But I would rather have the way we are now happen on like the front end and then go, oh, now we found our niche, instead of going, we're almost first, AFC seed, and then we're falling off, and it's like, damn. But because I'm always that Cinderella story kind of person.
Yeah,
I am, dude. Because I smoke hopium is what I do.
I do the same thing. You're watching a game sometimes, and it looks bleak, and then in the back of your head, you're like, but I've seen this happen before.
You just said it, going, we are on a downfall, but we win these next 2 games, and we make the playoffs. Everybody becomes healthy. And then we go into the playoffs.
Yeah, and maybe, 100%. And maybe,
you see that run?
If we do get it together and win, maybe it was this adversity that sparked that thing to where they go. Right, that's the positive. That's the right. I get it. We haven't seen a lot of that. But anyway,
that's that hopium. Anyways. All right, anyway, we're going to end it. I appreciate y'all. It might have ran over a little bit, but we were just very passionate about the whole the travesty of what's been going on.
The Jags have been getting run over the last 4 games, so it was appropriate.
Because if they're going to get run over, we're going to run over somebody, and it was time. So thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, because we're going to be posting a lot during the off season. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks.
All right.
You know what we should do? Some outro music.
Outro music?
Yeah.
I got a guy.